somebody told me it's like the moth hitting the light bulb. We don't stop. And I would not stop because I knew in my heart there was something wrong and I was going to get this thing straightened out. But what made it worse was when it was over, everything came back, all the disabilities that I had.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie Epstein and welcome to Business in Booths at the wonderful Center Square Grill in booming downtown East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. Hey everybody, it's Charlie Epstein here at Center Square Grill. It's a beautiful Friday afternoon. I'm sitting outside here at the grill with Business in Booths with my dear friend Pete Novak, the former general agent of Charter Oak Financial, part of Mass Mutual, and we're talking memory lane, spinal taps, Poland, and building the #1 life insurance agency in America. Pete, this is so great.
I just can't believe I'm here. I got the invite.
I mean, you just flew in from Warsaw, Poland,
yes,
right? Weren't
yes.
you just there?
Yes.
All right, but so I need to ask you this question. When was the first time you found out that you might never walk?
Probably August 1st or 2nd, actually, 2012.
What happened?
I was working out like crazy. Was in the best shape of my life, and probably like 3 months before that, I was doing kettlebells, and I had a weird sensation in my legs, and my back started bothering me, and then I started cramping, and then I started walking up hills, and I was cramping, and then I couldn't walk more than 30 feet, and in that 3-month period of time, I went to eight doctors of some prominent hospitals that we know in Boston, and they basically told me to go to rehab and you should be fine. But I told my wife in like August 1st or 2nd that if I don't go somewhere very quickly, I don't think I'm going to be alive much longer. And I ended up getting into the Mayo Clinic, and they had found a very rare disorder called spinal dural AV fistula, which is a vascular problem, and it was in my spinal cord, and I basically had a big blood clot that was squeezing my cord shut. So it was close to kind of having an aneurysm in my spinal cord. So I was lucky enough that they found it, and they cauterized it and they relieved the pressure. But it was I still think about this time of the year. It's kind of weird every year.
Right. I mean, here you are. How tall?
6'6".
6'6", an athlete. You played basketball, a coach.
Yeah.
A man of all seasons who could do anything, and then, bam.
Yeah.
And how do you face that?
Well, first of all, it was interesting because if you think about it, when you get 7 doctors telling you to go to rehab, and if I wasn't a persistent business owner, as everyone knows, to be a small business owner, to start a business, somebody told me it's like the moth hitting the light bulb. We don't stop. And I would not stop because I knew in my heart there was something wrong and I was going to get this thing straightened out. But what made it worse was when it was over, everything came back, all the disabilities that I had. And then a month later, it came back, meaning I was getting neuropathy in my feet. I couldn't push off this right foot. So I went back, and they found another one that they couldn't see, and then they took care of that, and I thought I was fine. And no, this came back, and I probably went to the doctors 15 times because I was so paranoid. So I think the good news is that my persistency saved my life. The bad news is that being the driver that I am, is that I thought there was something else wrong. Bottom line was there was nerve damage, and it came back, the neuropathy. So I was depressed for a period of time, to be honest with you, Charlie. But now I still can't push off this right foot, which is really kind of strange. But being an ex-basketball player, when I walk down the street, I got the old basketball. Everybody thinks I still got the stride. You know?
Right. And it's the limp.
Yeah, so everybody says.
So do you have tingling in your feet right now?
No.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I never wear socks because I actually feel like I'm wearing socks.
I hate socks.
I feel like I'm wearing socks. So why put a pair of socks? That'd be like putting 2 pairs on.
All right, so it's
weird. No tingling, no pain, but
wow. But it's 2012, and I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but last year you were nominated the #1 general agent by the General Managers Association in America.
World.
In the world,
yes.
sorry, for having built the #1 life insurance agency in the world. And this is happening, all this, you're facing, I may never walk, and you're still building. How the hell do you do that?
Well, I have to say, we've known each other from the very beginning, and you've challenged me. You made me think. You made me think differently. You got me into strategic coach, and I know what I'm good at, and I know to grow a business that you have to invest in people. And when you look at where you want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and you do a map of that, and you see the people that you need, okay, you've got to know where you fit in that scheme, but then you need to hire other people and empower people to do that. And I've been blessed with the unique ability to understand that. First of all, I think to understand it is a whole nother story. And my background in psychology, I mean, I have a master's in psychology. I think it was my best training for business because business is people. And if you don't understand people and empower people, you're going to have a problem. Right. You know, the best term that drives me crazy now is when I hear the word manager. You know, manager, if you look in the dictionary, what manager means, it is a person who oversees the activities of someone, okay?
Yep.
Is that what a business is supposed to be like? Would I want to have the title of a manager? Okay, I would like to have a title of coach, okay? Because a coach is someone who makes somebody better, okay? And my biggest compliment in my career is that the advisors of the organization call me coach, you know, and that just happened, okay? And I think leadership is all about making people better. And I think that business should be fun because you spend a lot of time with people, so you might as well empower people and grow together and compensate people properly for it.
So let's go back. Where did this all start? Where were you born?
In New Haven.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Grew up in New Haven?
Grew up in New Haven, 3-family house, blue collar, 100% Polish neighborhood.
No Jews allowed?
Oh, no, they were on the other side of town. They had their own neighborhood. Everybody had their own little pool.
We had our own gangsta mobs.
You had the Jewish people, the Italians, you had the Germans, you had everything. That was New Haven, but the food was great because everybody had great restaurants. You know,
I know.
Talk about Jewish delis. The ones in New Haven were great.
You love your rich background. How'd the family get over to New Haven?
Well, my grandfather came from Poland, from the farms. He was in Ellis Island and went to the bathroom, and then he lost his half brother. He never found him again. He spent the whole year trying to find his half brother, and he never found him. But he met a woman and had 11 kids though, and one of them was my dad, and they lived in a 4-room house. And my father always said that he married up because he married my mom. She lived next to the church. That was a big deal if you had a house next to the church, you know. So anyway, so I grew up in a 3-family house. My father was a plasterer. He decided that he did not want to work in a factory like everybody else did because he wanted to be his own boss, and he learned the trade, plastering, and took a lot of abuse because the trades were also based on nationality, and most of the masons and the plasterers were all Italian, and so he had this big Polish guy had to learn from the Italians. I can only imagine the jokes that were made, but his whole theory was there's a lot of other people in the world except Italians, so if I become a plasterer, I could now plaster for a lot of other people. So he got started, and he did very well, and we lived in a 3-family house, and my father invested in real estate for his retirement. So I think as a child, I learned what entrepreneurism was all about. But I also remember the hard times too, because I remember my mom sitting at the table, and my mom saying to my dad, you going to get some work soon,
Right.
But it was 1975 and 4 when they had the oil embargo crisis, and nobody was doing anything, Right. So I learned that, and I understand what it takes to get into business. So, that whole mentorship, I think, was extremely important for me in my life.
Yeah. So you went to school in New Haven.
Yep.
High school.
High school went to it was the 70s, so it was the middle of the racial situation in the United States, the early 70s, and I went to a private all-boys school right outside New Haven because I wanted to be a basketball player, and I wasn't going to be able to play at the city schools. It just wasn't going to happen at that time. So I was very uncoordinated at 6'3". Actually, I was 6'2", and then I got mono, and I grew in one summer, which was a 2-3 month period. This is no exaggeration. I went from 6'2" to 6'6" in 3 months, and it was actually hilarious because I had mono and I slept. And I still remember the day putting my pants back on, and they were like, high waters. And I'm like, what the hell happened here? You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Jack and the Beanstalk.
It's crazy. So then I said, I got to really practice because now I'm 6'6". You know what I mean? So I really, really worked hard, and but I also realized that my brother had gone to college, but he didn't go away to school, and I wanted to go away to school, and my father couldn't afford that. So I realized my ticket was going to be basketball. So I worked my butt off, and I got a bunch of scholarships, and I went to actually a small Division II school, American International College, because
right here. Novak.
And the reason why I did that is, A, I didn't know, but B, my father never went on vacation, and he loved to go to the games, and I was very fortunate to have a great relationship with my parents, and that was important for me that they go to the games. So that whole experience was really wonderful for me. I played right away. I was kind of a big fish in a small pond, and it was awesome.
Right.
Then I went and thought I was going to save the world, and got my master's, and I worked at Yale for a while and I worked with heroin addicts. I was doing marital therapy and counseling and multifamily therapy and coaching basketball.
Wow.
Yeah, so then I got into the business because I wanted to do something with my life.
So you were working with heroin addicts. That's a far cry from the financial services industry. How do we go from heroin addicts to the financial services industry?
Well, I knew I was in trouble when I went downtown New Haven with my mom. She had to make a deposit or something. I'll never forget it. And that cross street from the bank is where all the prostitutes were. And I'll never forget walking. I'm walking down the street, and everybody's going, "Hey, Pete, how you doing?"
With your mom?
Yeah, with my mom. They all knew me on a first name basis. So that was an interesting conversation that day.
Did mom drag you to the church right away?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
What are you doing, Petey? So
wait a minute. Was that the hookers calling you Petey, or your mother calling you
both?
Petey?
Now, I woke up one morning.
So this was the coming to Jesus.
Yeah, that was kind of it. And then what happened was I was having fun. I was coaching basketball, and I was assistant coach at University of New Haven. I was recruiting, and I we were having fun. We're building a program. I realized that recruiting is important in growing a business or distribution. So I had learned a lot of life lessons there. But but I wasn't making any money, and here I am as a social worker, and I'm trying to save the world. So it's 27 years old.
Married?
No, I had no one. And I said,
no, you didn't. You had the hookers on the street.
Well, it's true. That's why I had no one, No. But I just woke up and I said, I have no one in my life right now, but if I had someone in my life, what am I going to do? This is not going to work. I'm a loser. And I'm living in a basement apartment of a building my father had that had no windows. Okay, so it was one room with no windows and had a drain in the middle.
Man, you had life right in the palm of your hand.
It was the perfect place for a bachelor because you could have 20 guys down there and drink and just hose it down.
Right.
It was tremendous. Okay, so So I woke up with a cold sweat, and I ended up getting into this business. I had two options: to be a college basketball coach, go D1, but I'd be traveling all over the country. And if the coach got fired, then I had to start all over again, or go into a business where I could recruit people and build an organization.
Okay, but so what?
So you want to know what I did?
Yeah.
I went to the newspaper, and I was desperate, and I interviewed for to be an insurance agent at New York Life, and that's where I started, out of a newspaper.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they hired you.
Yeah, they did. And one company named MetLife didn't hire me. They said I'd never make it into business.
Right, I love that.
Because I was a 27-year-old loser.
Mass Mutual say the same.
Oh, they took him over because they looked for the intelligence. I'm like,
so what year was this?
1983.
Okay. So you start with New York Life, dialing for dollars.
Dialing for dollars. And I'm saying to myself, this is the greatest business in the world. I could sit down with people and I could try to help them. I was trying to help heroin addicts. I was 0 for 500. And here, at least I'm 2 for 10. And I make money. It's just tremendous. You know?
How'd you go from, sales to management?
Well, I realized, but what I realized is that my unique ability was coaching.
Yeah.
And I realized this is like college coaching. If I could become a manager and recruit talent, motivate them, okay, get the best out of them, make it fun, you can win championships, okay? And you can't win a championship unless you recruit. So I got into management, but what happened was I never realized that the manager that was running the New York Life office hadn't recruited anybody in 3 years because I just had my head down. So I was supposed to save the office.
There's a pattern here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
my God. Stay tuned. There's a pattern
So I
here.
recruit 3 people, and everybody tells me to support the industry. So I go to the local association meeting, life association meeting, and my 3 agents go, and I couldn't go that day. The next day, they informed me that they were recruited by another company at an agent association meeting.
Wow.
Yeah, so I failed there, obviously, and what ended up happening is I ended up going to New England. I had a great mentor, and I built a unit, and I became his partner. But New England had financial problems.
Let's go back. So, because mentorship is really a big thing, right? So, who was the mentor?
A man named David Robinson. He was way ahead of his time.
See, Jewish. I love it already.
Yeah. Great guy.
Yeah.
But he was ahead of his time. He was a rebel, which I liked.
Uh-huh.
And the second thing is
what made him a rebel?
Well, the industry was saying that you had to write only life insurance. And he said, I need to provide services for the businesses. So he had his own pension company. He had his own health insurance company. Okay, and he was kind of the head of advanced sales.
Do what's in the best interest
of the client. And he was the first one, this is like 1983, that had 2 investment specialists. So he had a boutique firm in Waterbury, Connecticut that provided those services. And my role, which was my unique ability, was to recruit to that team, that model.
Yeah.
And that to me was probably the most, that time I spent with him was amazing, because I actually was offered positions with other companies at that time, but I refused it because I really wanted to understand that model better. So when I did take over an operation, I would be able to really begin to understand and bring in services for the advisors at that time. So that was a great time in my life.
So then did you leave New England?
Well, I left New England because they were absorbed by Met, and they became a stock company. And in the life insurance world, I'm a big believer in a mutual company product, because the stockholders are the policyholders. So it's a long-term.
So what was the introduction of Mass Mutual?
A good friend of mine through basketball knew that the Rochester agency for Mass Mutual was opening, and he had remembered that my wife's family was from there, but he didn't know that I grudgingly went there to visit the family.
Right.
But I knew I needed.
Waterbury wasn't cold enough. We got to go to Rochester.
Yeah, let's go to Rochester. But I knew at that time, even my partner Dave Robinson, because we were in the process of becoming partners. He told me to leave. So I went to Rochester, and it was a great time because I got out of my environment and I was able to apply my skill sets and what I thought would be important to build an organization. So it was a great experimental period of my life, but we had tripled in size in 12 months.
In Rochester?
In Rochester, yeah. And then I realized that I wanted to come back home closer to New Haven because I felt...
So you're married at this time, right?
I'm married, got 3 kids, yeah. Very small kids.
Kasha,
yeah.
kids, right?
3 kids, and that time Caroline, my youngest, she was just born, actually. So it was pretty wild.
So how did the Springfield agency fall in your lap?
Springfield agency didn't fall on my lap, and you know that. I had heard Springfield was going to open, and I thought it would be great for me because being a basketball coach is that Mass Mutual's home office is in Springfield, and there's an agency with a tradition there, and they were going the other way, and it made no sense to me because if you're going to build a championship organization, you never lose on your home court. So I knew that that was going to be a great opportunity for me to grow vertically fast. But the person that I replaced had other ideas, and so when I came to town, he made my life difficult for a while, but we got through it. And from guys like you and understanding what the vision was going to be in other people, I think it's all about people and establishing trust. And I talk about this now is that if you're going to go into an organization or build an organization, you really have to define really quickly, I call it the circle wagons mentality, that there's a group of people that will circle around you if there's a time that there's a problem.
Right.
And so you have to have those relationships, and because we all need that in our lives,
Yeah. But this is, I think, your maverick moment in building the agency was, and for people to understand, and I'll kind of simplify this with Mass Mutual, is, they got general agents all over the country, really in silos. Here, this is your town, This is your territory, and that's the way it works, right?
Yeah.
And I think the big moment, my big aha moment with you was when you reached out to the Hartford agency, and people don't think about this, but I've for years tried to do business across the Mason County Dixon line,
Right.
Into Connecticut. And I even lived in Connecticut. And it was impossible. And there you were reaching across to the general agent in Hartford that was getting close to retire. And the next thing I know, you guys formed this partnership.
Right.
So how did that come about? Because that no one had ever done that in the whole system, right?
No one had ever. No, yeah. Actually,
you had to sell it to the home office.
Yeah, we put a business plan together, and I sold it to them, and saying that Hartford Springfield, whether you want to believe it or not, it should be one market. In a sense, it's not one market, but it's close enough to be a market. So,
which actually is interesting, since Mass Mutual bought Connecticut Mutual,
correct.
Which was in Hartford.
That is correct. That was part of my sale.
Talk
too.
about a platform.
Yeah, that was part of my sale, and
right.
It worked out well for me. It worked out well for him, but it also gave me an opportunity. Once I got to Hartford, I knew I could get to New Haven, where I grew up.
Right. You were really.
So
you're playing Monopoly.
I am playing Monopoly.
You were playing Monopoly.
Yeah, and then you were
like Risk, right? Or actually, not Monopoly. You were playing Risk, and you're going, okay, I'm going to start to conquer territories. You just wanted to get back to New Haven.
Well, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to New Haven, and then I said, well, if I can get to New Haven, I can get to the Gold Coast,
New York.
And then Greenwich. So I recruited a young manager there, and we opened up an office in Greenwich, and
which is an island unto itself.
Yeah. So he did so well that I realized that I would probably lose him. So I ended up giving him an opportunity over, I think it was 6 or 7 years, to vest in to be a partner.
That was Brendan.
And he excelled way better than that. So
he went into New York.
Yeah, he went into New York. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, so that's...
So when you came in, so people can have it in perspective, when you came into the agency, I think there were 31 agents, something like that?
No, there was 23.
Oh, sorry.
23. I know that.
And you built it up to?
At our peak, we hit 200.
Incredible.
Yeah, and we were doing, at that time...
Nobody had ever done that size.
No, we were the first. We were the first to hit 100. We were the first to hit 150. We were the first to hit 200. We changed the whole paradigm of size. and changed the whole paradigm of recruiting people. You know, it was unheard of that you could attract 10 people in a year, and we at our peak were bringing in 50 a year. You know, and to think about, we were a $1 million agency, about $1.5 million, and when I left at the end of last year, we were close to 50 million in business. So you know, it's almost incredible.
50x. Not even 10x. That's 50.
Yeah, 50x. Yeah,
50x.
You know, and
wow.
You know, you asked me how I got there. You know, I don't even. You know, it's just it's people. But what I could say though, 50x is great, but the building part is the rush. Is the rush.
So that I was just going to ask you, what is it that you love most about the work? And it's building it, right? It's
the people. It's the people, and the great part about getting that big is that you're big. The worst part is now you're not. You're detached from the people, and I missed that desperately.
You went from entrepreneurial to, you know, a systematized organization.
Yeah, and you know, it's probably why I got out, because I still got some game. I got that hop in my leg, you know, and I still got some game, and I really think there's exciting things going on in the world today, and there's huge opportunities.
Let's talk about that, because you're gaming in the world now, right? So what's going on in Warsaw, Poland, with these alpaca farm animals, and
well,
what happened? How did this?
What happened was I said to you, and you probably don't even remember this, is that
I know what it was. It was my sheep farm in summers, and you saw me raising sheep.
I saw what the coyotes did to your sheep. You know?
Right, and if I had an alpaca,
you would have been.
They would have never been dead.
No, it would have been worse. But
I needed a llama.
So anyway, no. See, I'm a big believer in philanthropy, but I got involved at Quinnipiac University. And I'm 100% Polish, and my wife's 100% Polish.
You guys still speak Polish?
My wife does, yeah. My wife does, and Poland.
I think she's cursing at me all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought so. I knew she liked me, but not that much. Thanks, Kasha.
So I ended up deciding to endow an academic chair at Quinnipiac, and I remember.
Just don't throw that away. It's $1 million endowment.
Yes, and I told you I was going to do that, and you said to me, it's going to change your life. Okay. And it did, because they matched it, and what we're doing in Poland right now is that we're bringing students from Poland to get their MBA and work in a U.S. company and go back and take the intellectual capital. But now we're going to go 10x on that. We're not going to do that anymore, because Poland has had 29 years of straight economic growth. If you're an entrepreneur right now and you have an idea, you could get that idea started so fast in Poland, and there's so much EU money right now, it's ridiculous. So what we're going to do now is take students from Quinnipiac. We have a Polish studies program we got started. So you can have a minor in Polish studies, and you can go now to Poland for a semester and be at a university in Poland. But more importantly here is that if you're, say, interested in sports management or you're interested in engineering, we can get you an internship at an amazing place. They're so easy, where it's so much more complicated here. So what we're trying to do is provide the experience for students to understand that there's more than just here. And I want young people in this country to understand, I'm not selling Poland, I'm selling a 10x mentality. That don't limit yourself to one market, because it's a world market right now.
Right.
It's unbelievable what's happening out there right now. There's so much energy in the world.
Right.
And I think sometimes we limit ourselves to think only this country, but don't understand is that in this country today, the most American car is a Toyota. Think about that, okay?
Yeah.
So corporations are 10xing the world right now, okay? So why can't we, as a business owner with an idea, 10x the idea. Give you an example. LinkedIn is an example. I'm involved now with LinkedIn. So every time I go to Poland, I have a full meeting schedule with amazing people.
Yep.
Now just think about that. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, where this world is going.
2 degrees of separation now.
It's amazing.
Right.
It's amazing. You know, somebody asked me, I was at Strategic Coach.
Yeah.
So I am with a company, a software company, and we were talking about Poland, and this man is from India, who's in the United States, and he says to me, I understand that there's great engineers in Poland. I said, yeah, this is the university, it's in Katowice, and it's one of the top engineering schools in the world. Like, nobody knows that, but he knew that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I gave him a contact, so he's now going to start recruiting engineers. Okay, so just think of this.
Right.
It's a conversation in Chicago.
Yeah. Right.
Right? I'm an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur, and he's going to start recruiting people from Poland, and that happened in a half an hour conversation. It's just unbelievable.
And you were telling me you're also working with Metropolitan Life in Poland on some big things.
So what's happening with me in Poland and what had transpired, once I did the endowment, I ended up being in Poland a lot. And the vibe and the people and the access that I have because I did what I did is amazing. So I'm now involved in 4 startup companies right now. Crazy thing, I have an alpaca farm, but we're breeding a super breed of alpacas because there's a fashion designer who's become a good friend of mine, and his mother is the largest breeder in the world in Chile. So we're bringing alpacas to Poland because it's Central Europe, and the micron level is going to be the best in Europe. So we'll begin selling off parts of the herd next year. But I'm also involved in a consulting company where I'm doing sales training. I'm working with MetLife because there's no insurance advisory firm for wealthy people in Poland right now. So we're creating a product like the United States so they could tax defer cash. Mm-hmm. And I'm creating a strategic alliance with a very large accounting firm there.
Wow.
And so, you know, there's some exciting thing. And I'm also soccer, which is, whether you want to believe, is the world game. And the franchises in Europe right now are 10x any franchise in the United States of any sport. So we thought that we were, you know, we have a football team or, you know, our own football team or baseball. Manchester United is 100x more valuable. And what's going to happen in 2026, there's going to be realignment in professional soccer. And the Eastern European countries that have really good teams, they're going to kind of create it like a Major League Baseball platform. So I know the premier team in Poland. They're an Adidas team in Warsaw, so I'm involved now in a capital raise.
Wow.
For him.
So we got tax shelters, Polish alpacas, football.
Yeah. And then I'm working on the second phase of that is going to be, we're going to do a management/VC fund in Poland because the Polish government will match whatever I raise.
Incredible.
Yeah. So that's, you know, I got a few things going on.
Yeah. So isn't retirement great?
Yes.
Because you retired from being a general agent at the end of last year.
Yeah.
Right? You went out #1 in the world.
Well, I'm still technically a GA.
Yeah, I know,
I'm doing the Derek Jeter tour.
And took a nap for an hour and then said, okay, what's next?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Unbelievable. All right, couple of questions. Greatest decision you ever made in your life?
I would probably say marrying my wife.
Here you go, Kasha. Worst decision you ever made? Worst mistake? Greatest mistake you've ever made in your life?
Didn't take a typing class.
Wow, interesting. Favorite word?
Because I wanted to screw around in free period.
I know. Favorite word? What's your favorite word?
My wife, I would say awesome.
Okay, what's your least favorite word?
I can't.
Can't. Yeah.
Yes.
What turns you on?
The thrill of the build.
What turns you off?
Mediocrity.
What's your favorite curse word?
The F-bomb.
What occupation other than yours would you absolutely love to do?
I would love, if I was young again, I would be a neurosurgeon or neurologist, because because it's uncharted. We have all medical science; they still can't figure it out yet.
Yeah. What occupation other than yours would you absolutely hate to do?
An accountant.
Yeah. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you enter the pearly gates?
You left the world a better place.
Nice. What's your favorite song?
Like a Rolling Stone.
Here, put it in the jukebox.
Yeah.
And we're going to sing it together on our way out. Like a Rolling Stone. Pete, amazing what you've done.
Thanks, brother.
You know what's so great?
What?
Is you're just getting warmed up.
Yeah.
All over again.
Yeah, it's going to be unbelievable.
I mean, it was unbelievable because she said to me, you know, I got to be somewhere. I got a consultant agreement this afternoon. I'm thinking the man's supposed to be retired, doesn't he?
Yeah, I was in Harrisburg, Virginia Beach, and Richmond in 3 days. Yeah. I'm starting to be like you.
Charlie Epstein here at Business and Booths with Pete Novak, Heroine Addicts, Polish Alpacas, and building another monster 4 or 5 businesses during retirement.
Yes.
Peace out, everybody.
Peace.